What's going on, you guys? This is Supreme King back again with another video, and I just wanted to speak on one of the hottest games that's going to be coming out in the fall of 2023 this year, and that's going to be Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Now, Insomniac has a well-experienced team with this franchise. They've put out 2018 Spider-Man as well as Miles Morales Spider-Man on multiple platforms at this point. Those games are very awesome. They had a lot of good gameplay in it, very nice story for both games. And now we're going to see what could be considered a game of the year contender from them, right? I just want to say for myself, I am very hyped for this game. I'm very excited to see what they do with this game, because you're technically going to have two full Spider-Mans in this game where you're going to play with both of them. I'm sure they're going to figure out a way to put them both in there at the same time. But I just want to say I got a list of demands. Who knows if my demands are going to get met, but I have a list of demands that I wanted to say for this. Right off the bat, I got to say, just for Peter Parker as Spider-Man, I just want to keep his story and everything around him a more mature theme, just because I know with Miles Morales it tends to lead more towards the younger crowd a little bit, and that's fine. There's a balance there, but with Peter I would like to see a little bit more grit and some more seriousness going on with his story. I'm pretty sure they're going to do something like that anyway, but this Spider-Man is a well-seasoned Spider-Man. This is supposed to be a Spider-Man that's been a Spider-Man for a really long time, and so at this point he's going to have some maturity to him, and enemies surrounding him are going to have some real vendetta for him, and I just want them to actually go into detail with that and not just have it be a bad guy wanting to beat Spider-Man just for the sake of beating Spider-Man. I'm very confident in Insomniac to really pull that off, so I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do with that. On the other end, when it comes to Miles Morales, I can imagine that his storyline is going to be a little bit more lighthearted with some dark elements here and there once you get towards the end of this whole game. But my list of demands for him, the main thing is just I want to see the growth in him, because now he's a little bit more of a experienced Spider-Man as well. So I want to see what he can do now that he's comfortable with his abilities and he understands his role as a hero in his own right. And I also just want to see, you know, more from him taking on the leadership role and not being in the shadow of Peter. We kind of saw that in his Miles Morales story, but I want to see a little bit more of that, a little bit more growth for him. Another thing, if it's anything of a nitpick, I just don't want them to give away his identity. I felt like in the Miles Morales story, all of the NPCs practically knew who he was. Even if they didn't know him by name and face immediately, they knew he wasn't the real Spider-Man. They had to remind you that all the time. And they knew he was younger. They also pretty much knew his ethnicity. You know, they kind of gave that away at some point in his game, so it was like, well, what don't you know on Spider-Man at this point? So if anything, I would like for his identity to come off a little bit more hidden and not so out there and open. Another demand I got for this game, this is probably going to be a big one, and that's just Venom and possibly Carnage. I think Carnage is going to be in here as well. They gotta let you play as them somehow, some way. Venom especially, there's no way they didn't think about this. All right, they have to have some way for you to play as Venom. It probably won't be fully in the game, and maybe you might have to have him fully unlocked towards the end or the end game where you can just swing around as him or something, but they got to figure out that gameplay. They got to do it similar to how they did it in the old PS2 GameCube game called Ultimate Spider-Man, if you guys remember that one, where you played as Peter Parker for certain parts, then you played as Venom for certain parts, and it was very comic book like. I really loved that game. That was one of my favorite Spider-Man games. But for this one, Venom and Carnage, they gotta have that play style in there somehow. That's a demand from me. I'm hoping they figure it out. They gotta understand the fans are gonna be asking for that, right? Which leads me into my next demand, which is basically multiplayer, some form of online where everybody is web swinging and everybody's in there and they're playing as different versions of Spider-Man, maybe with the suits, but then also Venom and Carnage. I don't know how they figure it out, but some sort of thing that's tied to the game, that's a part of the game, similar to how Factions was for Last of Us Part 1, but just Spider-Man this time. And you know, everybody's gonna have all these different suits that they can use, and then Venom and Carnage as well. So somehow, some way, figure that out. The next thing I want to mention is some form of a co-op campaign. That's probably going to be after game material. Maybe it's a DLC thing, but if you're going to have two Spider-Mans in the game, then you should also find a way to have a co-op campaign where you and a friend can actually play through it, where one person is Peter and the other person is Miles. That's like a game changer, you know, for this Spider-Man universe. That's something you didn't really see in the first games, right? I want to see that for this particular game. Obviously, it probably has to be DLC because you would have to go through a full story where a person can play the game start to finish as a single player, right? So I want to see this at least as DLC, similar to like maybe It Takes Two in a way where you kind of need to work together in certain elements. I just want to see that. Maybe they can figure that out. I think that would be an awesome addition to the game. And the last thing, this might be too big for Spider-Man, but I just want to see just a little drop of blood here and there. You know, maybe that might be too much. Maybe I'm asking too much. I probably am. But, you know, if this same group under Insomniac or somebody under Insomniac is working on Wolverine, clearly Wolverine's got to have a whole lot of blood. And somebody got to figure out, well, Spider-Man, if he's going through battles and he's having a lot of battle damage, I would like to see some of his suits get sort of worn out over time. You know, if he doesn't really heal up or whatever and they're beating on him and your health bar is kind of low, next thing you know, you see kind of rips in his suit here and there, and you just see little gashes here and there that shows that maybe he's bleeding a little bit, just a little bit. They did it in the movies. And all the little kids saw those movies, so they could do it in the games. Maybe they could have like an option for you to turn it on and off just to appease the mamas, but at the same time, yo, they got to do it. It'll make it way more realistic for me. You know, maybe that's too much of a nitpick, but that's what I want to see. But yeah, I think that's about it. Other than that, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a Game of the Year contender, and I'm here for it. I can't wait to see this. I know this is probably my co-host's like top 10 or top 5 or whatever for this year. I'm sure he's going to play it day one, and I'm sure a lot of you are going to play this day one. But that's all I got for you here. Leave a like on this video, subscribe if you haven't already, leave me a comment below on what you want to see in this game as well, your list of demands, and I will catch you on the next video. Peace.